Welcome back to Living Local. It is time to check in with Movie Mike for what is new in theaters. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
A pleasure.
So, Mike Schultz is the arts editor for the River Cities Reader. Of course, we're going to go over some movies.
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we get into the new movies, let's go and talk about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I guess we must. I was not crazy about it. I really wasn't. I was super excited about it.
They really amped it up.
Here's my problem with it. Okay, right. So it's so as everybody knows, Black Panther came out in 2018, was a colossal hit and a super good movie to boot. It won a bunch of Oscars. But unfortunately, the star, Chadwick Boseman, passed away from colon cancer in the summer of 2020. So they already had kind of a working script going for a Black Panther sequel. And so I do not begrudge Ryan Coogler, the writer-director, who basically had to refashion his entire movie based on the fact that Chadwick Boseman, of course, passed, and you can't recast that role. And so everything about this movie that kind of deals with T'Challa's passing, because they do have the character himself also pass away in the movie, and dealing with how we deal with our grief now that our leader has gone and who takes over the throne, all that stuff is really interesting. Unfortunately, it still has to be a Marvel movie, which means we still have to have a really over-the-top villain, in this case an undersea character named Namor, who's got pointy ears and wings on his feet and all the power in the universe, and it still has to have dopey Marvel jokes every few minutes where you don't need them. It still has to have a lot of pricey visual effects that kind of don't look that great at the end of the day. It has to have a death about 2/3 of the way through, because that's what Marvel does in every one of its movies. And so the thing is, it started as something really interesting and different, where they could have actually dealt with some serious topics for Marvel, and instead, because it's Marvel, they have to kind of turn it into the same movie that you've seen over and over. And yeah, and this whole year has been disappointing for Marvel. I mean, I didn't care for the Thor sequel or the Doctor Strange sequel, and so part of it might just be me, where I'm just over it. You know, it's like I need a break, and I don't even have Disney Plus where there are like 10 Marvel series on going. You know, so and I don't know. I just need a nap, maybe. I don't know.
You can't replace Boseman. You just can't.
Exactly right. Nor should they have. And so that was smart, but it did not come together for me. A lot of people liked it. I didn't.
So we're getting into the greatest holiday of the year.
Is it your favorite?
It is my favorite.
Oh, that's cool.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
Next movie kind of plays, not necessarily for Thanksgiving, but because of the title.
The title alone, The Menu, right? That's a Thanksgiving title for you, absolutely. This has a preview that's got me really jazzed. This is kind of a comedy thriller. It's set on a remote island where people pay $1,250 per plate to enjoy basically a 12-course meal by this superstar chef, played right there by Mr. Ralph Fiennes. Unfortunately, he's got some devious plans in terms of this menu. His guest is filled with basically the most pretentious people you can imagine have all gathered for this little evening feast, and he is planning to get revenge on people for their awfulness, just their in general terribleness, and so kind of has every different course fashioned to get even with somebody who's on the island. Sounds really interesting. It's got a great cast though. Anya Taylor-Joy plays the lead, kind of our audience surrogate, who is also finding this place crazy, and then you also have Judith Light, and you have John Leguizamo and Janet McTeer, and a whole bunch of really strong supporting actors. Could be fun, and gives you, much like The Perfect Menu, a little bit of everything. A little thriller, a little horror, a little comedy.
This is a little mixture of everything, all into one.
Could be fun
cast too. So
it's like a big casserole of a movie.
Oh, you know? I like what you did there.
Right?
I like what you did. Now you're making me hungry.
Apologies for that. But yeah, it could be a blast. It could be a lot of fun. We'll see.
I think you're excited for this for sure. So this next one, She Said.
She Said, yes. Yeah. This is an investigative drama set in the world of newspaper publishing. This is the story of the Harvey Weinstein case. If you remember that name, he, in the February of 2020, was sent to prison for all manner of sexual harassment and misdeeds for decades at his studio Miramax. Unfortunately, what kept him from becoming in trouble sooner New York Times reporters, played by Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan, as they try to figure out how on earth they are able to bust this story when no one is legally allowed to talk. And so it's kind of an investigative drama in the vein of All the President's Men or Best Picture winner Spotlight from a few years back. Has a terrific cast. We have Andre Braugher in the cast and also Patricia Clarkson. We have Ashley Judd playing herself because she was actually one of the people who suffered from Harvey Weinstein's attacks. It looks intensely dramatic, and as someone who works at a newspaper, I'm excited to see how basically they pulled this off, because that's kind of an impossible task these women were assigned, and they did pull it off.
It's going to be very interesting, I agree, in being in media. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, right? Could be
So
good.
it's going to be good. Nice lineup here this weekend.
I'm super excited, actually. Yeah, could be fun.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you being here. It's, of course,
Always
a lot of fun hanging out with you today.
Agreed.
So, yeah, you had Wakanda Forever. It was all right, but we have two really cool movies coming out that we're all excited for. The Menu, appropriate, right? And She Said. All right, you can read Mike's movie reviews inside the latest River Cities Reader on stands everywhere and online at rcreader.com. And for more information on today's movies, you can head over to ourquadcities.com.